Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I know it's been a while, but it's 2025, so let's get it. I'm going to be playing some 10-10 with the $20 straddle on at Parx Casino. First hand of the night, I'm going to get dealt Ace-9 suited, the diamond variety, in hijack position. Under the gun is going to be finding an open here. They make it $50 to go. It folds around to me in hijack, and I have a decent hold in here. Would have loved to make it to a flop, so I put in a call. My opponent to my direct left and cutoff is going to be putting in a call as well, and everybody else is going to fold. So we're going to be going three ways to a flop of 9-7 deuce, 2 clubs, no diamonds there on the board, kind of a wet board going on here, but we do have top pair, top kicker, only going to be behind mostly 2 over pairs, and I'm also hoping my opponent in cutoff doesn't randomly have pocket 7s or pocket deuces. Under the gun is going to be first to act here. They decide to put in a check, and I do want to put some pressure on both of my opponents, thinking about what size I should use here. And I start to grab my chips. I'm going to be putting out a pretty big one. I make it $120 to go for the first flop of the night. Cutoff is going to be laying down their cards. And under the gun, the original opener is going to fold as well. Things are starting off very nicely here. I'm not going to complain with taking out this pot here on the flop. Second hand of the night, I'm going to get dealt Queen Jack offsuit in the straddle. And y'all already know me. I love any hand with a lady in it, since pocket queens are my favorite hand. So we're halfway there right now, but hey, good enough for me. Under the gun is going to be putting in that open here. They make it $50 to go. It folds all the way around to me in the straddle. And yeah, we get an opportunity here to be heads up. So I'm going to be putting in the call. And it's just the two of us going to a flop of Jack 10-9, 2 diamonds. I could not have asked for a better flop when I am defending the straddle. I mean, no complaints here, right? I have top pair, third best kicker, and I have an open-ended straight draw to what I would believe would be the nuts most of the time, right? I also do have the queen of diamonds in my hand, just in case if 2 diamonds was to roll off on the turn and the river. And not being a pre-flop aggressor here, I'm going to start out with a check. My opponent thinks about it for a couple of seconds, but looks like they're going to be checking back. And we're going to go to the turn, and it comes a rubber ducky, 2 of hearts, and that's going to be the most blank card we could see in the deck, right? With my opponent being passive there on the flop, I'm going to turn up the aggressor on the turn. Thinking about my bet size in here, and I do grab my chips. I'm going to be making it $40 to go on the turn. After a couple of seconds, my opponent is going to be putting in the call. And we're going to go to the river, and it comes the jack of spades. We jack them. Trip jacks here in this pot. With how this hand has played out, I should have the best hand 99% of the time. So knowing that information, I'm going to be firing another bet here on the river. Thinking about my sizing once again. This time, it's time to size it up. I do grab 2 black chips, throw them in the middle, put it on a wager of $200. Unfortunately, my opponent didn't think about it for that long, and only a second or less, they lay it down. I am 2 for 2 for pots so far. Didn't get paid there on the river, but hey, maybe we could get paid later on in the session. Third hand of the night, I'm going to get dealt King Jack offsuit in under the gun position. I'm going to be finding an open here. I make it $50 to go. My opponent in low jack's going to be putting in a call. It folds all the way around to the blinds. Small blind's going to be putting in a call. And the $20 straddle is going to be coming along as well. Half of the table is going to be going to the flop here. And it's going to come King 8-4 rainbow. Decent flop here with the King Jack offsuit. We do have top here. Decent kicker. Should be the second best kicker in my opinion. I am going to be behind to the King Queen suited and the King Queen offsuits. Nobody in this 10-10-20 game is going to have Ace King. They should never have Ace King. If they do have Ace King, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Small blind puts in the check. Straddle checks as well. And we are playing out of position here. I would love to thin out the field, especially with my opponent who is in low jack. So this time I'm going to put an auto wager here. And it's not going to be a big one. I just make it $60 to go. I do get my wish, and my opponent in low jack does fold. This is fantastic because now I am going to have position on the rest of my opponents in this pot. Small blind thinks about it for a couple of seconds. They decide to come along with the call, and Strato is going to be laying it down. So it looks like we're going to be going heads up to the turn, and it's going to come my lady, the Queen of Hearts. Backdoor hearts are now starting to materialize here. It's not that scary of a card. I was already behind the king queen anyway. I do still feel really good about my hand, to be honest. My opponent is going to be finding a check here, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of pot control here. So I'm not going to barrel the turn. I'm going to check it back. Let's see a river dealer, and we're going to go to it, and it's going to come a rubber ducky 2 of diamonds. Once again, a blank compared to all of the cards that are on this board. And even with that blank, villain and small blind is going to start to grab some chips. They're going to be firing out a wager here, and it's not going to be that big of one. There's a little bit over $300 in a pot. They're going to be making it $110 to go. And as soon as I saw that small sizing, I already know I'm never folding top here. Really good kicker here. So I'm going to be snap calling here. Villain turns over king 10 offsuit, and I immediately turn over my king jack offsuit. Jack kicker is going to be playing here. I am really happy to have my opponent outkicked there. Let's hope the rest of the night can keep going as good as this. Next hand of the night, I'm going to get dealt jack 10 suited, the heart variety, and we're going to be in low jack position. I'm going to find an open here. I make it $50 to go. Goes around to my opponent on the button. They're going to be finding a call. Big blind and the straddle are going to be coming along with the call as well. It looks like it's going to be half of a family pot again. So we're going to be going 4 ways to a flop of queen 8-4, 2 hearts. Oh baby, I could not have asked for a better flop, right? The only better flop than this would have been if that 4 of hearts was a 9 of hearts. So I would already have had the stone cold nuts here. But hey, we're not complaining. We have a gutter to the stone cold nuts. And we can also make a queen high flush, which is going to be the 3rd highest flush possible here. Big blind is going to be put in the check. Straddle checks as well. And I know last hand I decided to put in that C bet there with the king jack offsuit. This time around, I'm going to be taking more of a passive route here. Would love to see a turn for free. I'm going to be checking my option. And what is button going to do? They are going to check as well. Music to my ears. We get to see a free turn. Still 4 of us. We're going to go to it, and it's going to come the 8 of clubs. That does not help me at all. Would have loved to have a made hand by now, but hey, what can you do? Big blind is going to check. Straddle is not going to be checking this time. They're going to fire out a bet here. They make it $70 to go. And I did have some thoughts in my mind here with decision making. I mean, there's only 2 options, right? I either call or I put in a raise here in position. Ultimately, I do decide to take the passive route once again. I'm just going to be putting in the call, and button is going to be laying it down. So at least I do have position here. We're going to be going heads up to the river, and it's going to come to 7 of diamonds. That doesn't do anything at all. Pretty sucky spot to be in. After a couple of seconds, my opponent is going to check, and I'm just sitting here with jack 10 of hearts. Rough spot for me. Do think about it for a couple of seconds, but I'm going to be checking back here. My opponent turns over ace 2 offsuit. I mean, I am beyond surprised to see the ace 2 offsuit here. I know we are playing 10, 10, 20, but why do they have that hand? I have no idea. All I do know is I really hope that I get to play this player in more pots as the night goes on, now that I have a better idea of what they're doing. And would you have played the turn different there? Would you have gone for the raise, or do you just like the call? Let me know, as usual, in the comments below. Love it or hate it, we get dealt ace king suited in low jack position. I know there's a lot of people in here that play poker that don't like ace king, but hey, it's one of my favorite hands. Does get a little bit tricky to play sometimes. Hopefully it's easy this time around. I'm going to be in low jack position. I'm going to find an open here, of course. I make it $50 to go. Goes all the way around to my opponent in the straddle. And this is the same person that had ace 2 offsuit that last hand. I'm like, please call. And they do just that. They take their chips. They're going to be flicking in the call. Said I wanted a pot against them. And here it is. And we're going to be going heads up to a flop of ace, ace 10, 2 clubs. Oh, baby. Trip aces. Best kicker. There is a flush draw on board and some straight draw possibilities. But hey, I am feeling good. If my opponent can just please, oh please, for the love of God, just have the last ace in the deck in their hand. I am pretty sure I would be able to stack my opponent. They're going to start out with a check here. I do grab my chips. I make it a small wager, just $30 to go. My opponent folds in like half a second. Oh my goodness. So disappointed. Yeah, I take down the blinds and the straddle, but come on, when you make that big of a hand, you just want to get paid. Next hand, I'm going to get dealt King 9 offsuit on the button. It's going to fold all the way around to me. I'm going to be finding an open here and make it $50 to go. Folds to my opponent and the straddle. They're going to be putting in the call, and they just moved to this table with a humongous stack. I'm getting the vibe and read that this person may play here quite often, and that is going to dictate some of the decisions that I make this hand. We're going to be going heads up to a flop of King 10-9 Rainbow. Looking pretty good here. Not top 2 pair, but 2 pair is pretty strong in poker. I am behind the King 10, but I'm ahead of 10-9. And I'm also behind to some straights that could have already been made if they do have Queen Jack offsuit or Queen Jack suited. So I do have to be a little bit careful here. My opponent puts in a check, and I'm thinking, yes, I am going to be firing out a bet here. I decide to make it a pretty hefty one. Grab one black chip, toss it in the middle, making it $100 to go. After a couple of seconds, person who I assumed is a regular here grabs their chips and makes it $300. And now I realize that I am in trouble, right? Starting to get check raised. It's never good in poker, especially on this kind of board. But hey, can't go anywhere with 2 pair yet, right? Take my chips. I'm going to need to see a turn dealer. I flick in the call, and we're going to go to it, and it comes the 7 of spades. Doesn't really change much here, in my opinion, unless they're finding a check raise with 8-6. I mean, it's possible. But hey, I don't really believe that they are doing this here, in my opinion. It is going to be a rainbow board on the turn, and my opponent is reaching for more chips. I am not liking this right here. Y'all going to be firing out a hefty wager here, making it $600 to go. Damn, this pot is building like crazy. And I am going into the tank a little bit here. Like I said, I had a little bit of a read on my opponent, but I've never played with them before. So I'm going back and forth in my mind, and I'm thinking, and ultimately I decide I'm going to defend one more time. Let's see what they're going to do here on the river. I put in a call. We're going to go to it, and it comes the 8 of diamonds. Now, this card makes a difference. I lose to 2 straights now. They could have already had the straight, but now if they did have a random jack that they're check raised barreling off here, they are going to have me beat 100% of the time. And in about 5 seconds, I see the chips go in. They take $2,000 and just put it in the middle, pretty much putting me all in. And I'm just sitting there knowing that I only have 2 pair. Like, oh my goodness, here we go. Well, what can you do? Is 2 pair gonna be good enough here? In my honest opinion, no. I'm just not going to win here a lot. Yes, they could be magically finding a bluff, but check raise, triple barreling it off, and you just got moved to the table, and it looks like you can possibly be a reg. I mean, I'm just not feeling this moment. I do go into the tank for a little bit, but that's just to confirm everything I was thinking about doing the hand. Finally, I am going to be laying down my 2 pair. My opponent never shows their hand, so I don't know what they had, but hey, once again, feel like I was beat. What would you have done here? Is there any street that you would have played differently? And would you have found a call there on the river? Or do you like to fold? Let me know in the comments below. Next hand of the night, I have a lady again. I get dealt Queen Jack offsuit in the straddle again. Folds to my opponent in hijack. They're going to be opening, making it $60 to go. Folds all the way around to the blinds. Small blind's going to be put in the call. Big blind folds. And I decide to defend. So we're going to be going 3 ways to a flop of Queen 8-7, 2 hearts. Looking pretty good here. Have top pair, decent kicker. Also have the Queen of Hearts in my hand if 2 hearts were to roll off. And maybe the board runs out 10-9. And I have a straight with the jack. Either way, I'm feeling pretty confident about my hand. Small blind puts in a check. I put in a check. And is hijack gonna find a check? Looks like they're not, but they don't bet too big of a size here. They just make it $60 to go. Small blind puts in the call, and obviously I'm not going anywhere yet. I flick in the call as well. So we're still gonna be three-handed as we go to the turn, and it's gonna come to 7 of clubs. Not the best turn here. If any of my opponents do have a 7, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. So because of that, I am gonna have to tread cautiously here. Small blind's gonna check. I check. And I'm really hoping hijack checks back, and they are going to do just that. They do find a check. We get to see a river for free, and we go to it, and it comes the king of spades. Now, not am I only losing to a 7, I'm losing to a king too. Small blind's going to check. I'm going to check. I'm hoping once again that hijack just checks it back. They aren't going to do that though. I do see them starting to grab their chips. They are going to be betting roughly half the pot or so. They make it $220 to go. Small blind goes into the tank for about 30 seconds. They lay down their cards. And yeah, my hand was good on the flop, but I don't see myself winning here anymore. I'm going to lay it down as well. And we're just going to have to move on to the next hand. And my table ends up breaking up. So we are going to be at a new table for this hand. I'm going to be in the straddle. I get dealt. Ace 5 suited. Low jack's going to be finding an open here. They make it $50 to go. Folds all the way around to me. And hey, I guess we get to be heads up. I'm going to be putting in the call. And we're going to be going to a flop of Ace 8-7 rainbow. I do flop top here. Extremely weak kicker. Almost the weakest kicker I'm going to have. And there are no spades on board. So no possibility of me hitting a flush. Can find some random straights though. And I am keeping in mind for this hand. And when I sat down 30 seconds ago, this opponent just stacked somebody else for about 3K or so. They ended up rivering the nuts with ace king, boating up on the river. So at least I had some information going into this hand on how my opponent plays. I'm going to be starting out with a check here. My opponent bets the same amount they did pre. They make it $50. And easy decision here for me, of course. I'm going to be putting in a call. And we're going to go to the turn, and it comes the Jack of Hearts. That card makes things a little bit worse. 10-9 is now a straight. Backdoor hearts are starting to come in. So I do have to be a little bit careful here, even though I do have top here. I'm going to be putting in the check. And villain is not slowing down here. They're going to be firing that double barrel. And it's going to be almost the size of the pot. No small bet here. They make it $180 to go. And hey, I still have top here. I'm not going to go anywhere yet. I'm going to be putting in the call. And we're going to go to the river, and it comes the Queen of Spades. Another bad card for me. I mean, it just didn't get any better. But hey, hopefully my opponent does check back. I do check the river. After a couple of seconds, I see my opponent starting to grab some chips. And yes, villain's going to be firing a massive bet here. They make it $600. Oh my goodness. That's going to be an overbet. I'm a bit worried here. I do think about it for a couple of seconds, but I just have top here. I don't think it's going to be good enough. I do wisely decide to lay my cards down. Would have loved to see what my opponent had, but hey, pretty sure I was beat. And that's going to end my run there at the 10-10-20 tables. The game was dying down. So we're going to get a couple of hands in here at 2-5 with the $10 straddle on. And first hand at the table, I'm going to get dealt 10-9 suited in under the gun position. I did miss the memo when I sat down that everybody was straddling. So the straddle is not going to be on for just this one hand. I'm going to find an open here. I make it $15 to go. Folds all the way around to the blinds. And both of them are going to be put in the call. We're going to be going 3 ways to a flop of King 10-8, 2 clubs. So not much going on for me here. I have second pair and a kicker that probably is never going to matter. Small blind checks, big blind checks. And yeah, I'm going to check back too. I want to see a turn. We go to it, and it comes my lady, the Queen of Spades. Doesn't really help my case much more. I have a mediocre hand. Small blind's going to check. Big blind checks. And I just don't really see the point in putting in money here. So I'm going to check back again. We go to the river, and it comes the Jack of Clubs. Now I kind of have a hand. It is a straight, but it is the low end of the straight. So I do have to be a little bit careful here. Small blind's first to act, and I swear as soon as the card came in half of a second, they fired out pretty much a pot-sized wager of $50. Big blind's gonna fold, and I didn't even think about it for that long, to be honest. 1, maybe 2 seconds at most goes by. And I'm just going to lay it down. Yeah, not calling it straight here. Big whoop. Just do not believe this is the time to be considering calling this hand. Next hand, I'm going to get dealt a6 offsuit. And this time I am going to be in the straddle. Just going to fold all the way around the table to my opponent in the big blind. They make it $35 to go, and I decide I'm going to do something a little bit crazy here. I mean, not too crazy, but we're going to be putting in that 3-bet in position. So I'm going to be bumping it up all the way to $110. My opponent thinks about it for a couple of seconds, and they're going to be putting in a call. I would have preferred to take it down pre, but hey, what can you do? We're going to be going heads up to a flop of Jack 7 deuce, 2 spades, no spade at all in my hand. I have nothing going for me on this board. My opponent does check. I'm just sitting here with ace high. But hey, maybe sometimes my opponent has just as much of nothing as I have. So because of that reasoning, I'm going to take my chips, fire a c-bet here. I make it $60 to go. After a couple of seconds, they're going to be putting in a call. We're going to be going to the turn, and it comes the ace of spades. Flushing out completes, but at least I do have top pair. Very weak kicker. They're going to check. I decide I'm going to do some pot control in here. You have top pair, but it's not the best top pair. I'm going to be checking it back. Let's see a river. We go to it, and it comes the 8 of clubs. Villain thinks about it for a couple of seconds. They're going to be firing out a bet here. It's a little bit less than half pot. They make it $150 to go. I go into the tank. I'm like, damn. Put myself in a spot by 3-betting a6 offsuit pre. Would have been easier to play a single raised pot, but no problem. Sometimes you got to put yourself in some uncomfortable situations in poker to learn from it. And yeah, I don't really mind the 3-bet pre. More so focusing on this spot. Should I be putting in a call? After weighing a lot of options, I know I do have top pair, but just do not believe top pair is going to be good enough here. After much deliberation, I do decide to muck my cards. Been catching a lot of L's ever since that King 9 offsuit hand versus that triple barrel. Session started off well, but it has not been going my way for a bit now. Finally, a pocket pair. Not the biggest pocket pair, but hey, we got pocket threes, and we're going to be in cutoff position. It does fold around to me. I'm going to be opening to $25. Button's going to fold, small blind calls, and big blind's going to call. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop of King, Jack 7, 2 hearts. What a beautiful flop for pocket threes, right? So much endless possibilities with 4th pair. Small blind's going to check, big blind's going to check. And this time around, I am still going to find a c-bet. Yes, with 4th pair. Big whoop. Let's put some money in this pot. Grab my chips. I make it $30 to go. Small blind folds, and I'm just hoping big blind folds as well. But looks like they're not going anywhere. They're going to be putting in a call. At least I thinned out the fill a little bit. We're going to go heads up to the turn, and it's going to come the 4 of diamonds. Damn it, that could have just been a 3. Such a low card, and it's just 1 pip off, right? Like, come on now. My opponent's going to be checking, and decisions. Good check back here. See if my 3s can hold up, or I can do something a little bit more interesting. I decide to take the aggressive route here. Yes, I'm going to be double barreling pocket threes here. I grab my chips. I make it $115 to go. Only takes half a second, and my opponent lays down their cards. Very happy that I managed to take it down. First session of the year here at Parks. Let's get straight to the results. And let me know in the comments below how you enjoyed the video. Without having the vlog footage, I cannot record at Parks at all. So I would love to hear some feedback. It was really fun to get out there and play, but we caught a big L. I have a couple of things to work on. And hey, some hands didn't go my way. We're going to lose $3,295.